I go back to my pro-life position. Like John has mentioned, she's pro-choice. I am not. I'm conception until natural death. And these citizens, and our citizens, deserve the same constitutional rights that you and I have. Because otherwise, what we're saying is, if women have a right to an abortion, what we're saying is that the children that are in their womb is property. And property is slavery. And that's been abolished a long time ago. And I'm going to be driving home very fast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was an excellent 3 answers. Don't forget card checking, by the way. Yeah, there you go. This one's on the economy, and the question kind of centers around this. How would you handle unemployment and improve our economic growth in the context that what role does the federal government actually have in these regards, and as you would see it as a congressman? So the question is, how would you handle, we have a serious unemployment problem in the country, as everyone well knows, and is well documented. How would you, what's the role of the federal government as from a congressional point of view that could do to help improve the job situation in the country? This, I think it's David's turn. David's turn. I can't track either.
Once again, I would go back to the fundamental problem is people say that it's overregulation that got us into this problem. I don't believe. I think that we need to deregulate. The government has so many laws passed on enforcing companies to put out so much money, to go through so much paperwork, that they basically have to drop jobs. Also, the other thing, too, is monetary policy. Our monetary policy is terrible in this country. We have a Federal Reserve that basically prints money out of thin air. There's currently $2 trillion in reserve. Now, of course, Ben Bernanke will tell you that, well, that's not in circulation. But it does devalue the dollar. And when it devalues the dollar, there's job loss. We have to have a strong dollar. Once we have a strong dollar, you'll see a boost in employment.
John, you want to take it next?
On my website, I've got a page on economic restoration. The centerpiece of my concept is that we start working on our own energy resources that we have in our country. Let me give you a couple ideas of what I've been researching. We get vast amounts of oil and oil shales up in South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana. It's been estimated we have 2,000 years of oil that could be recovered with technology that we currently have. We have vast amounts of energy resources in Alaska. We don't even know what's in Alaska. It's so huge. It's 2/3 the size of continental United States. We got oil reserves off of the West Coast. We've got huge reserves in the Gulf of Mexico. We've got even some off of the East Coast of the United States. We've got at least, from what I remember, 500 years of coal reserves in our country. We've got natural gas. We've got about 2,000 years of our own resources. We don't have to send our money over to Saudi Arabia, anybody in the Middle East. We're sending over $700, $800 billion a year. That's our money. If we kept that money here in our country, we're going to put people back to work. Energy equals your economy. If you have no energy, you might as well live in the Sahara Desert. We've got more energy resources than any country in this world. That's my centerpiece, is work on that, put our people back to work. I think another thing, we can actually become a net exporter of energy. The other thing that we have going well for our country is in medical research and medical supplies. We can be an exporter of those kind of supplies and equipment, medicine, and we just turn our system around instead of being a net importing, where we're just sending money overseas. That's gone. We don't have our treasury, our national treasury. What do we have any money in that? If you look in it, I would think you'd see dust, and spider webs, and a whole bunch of IOUs that Steve, like you said, your daughter's already in debt to what we do. Our leaders have put ourselves in this. We are just passing our debt right on to our kids and our grandkids. It's frightening. It truly is.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. I think the government's role is to provide a sound climate for business. I think jobs are created by business people and entrepreneurs. The government doesn't create jobs. So the role of government is to keep taxes low while still providing essential services, to make sure that our regulation is not overly burdensome, to make sure we have a steady and stable currency, and to cut the deficit. If we do those things, this economy will get back on track because our entrepreneurs and our American spirit will take over and make sure that this economy gets going. Thank you.
David? Oh, you started it? Oh, okay. I'm thinking ahead. We're coming down to the finish line here, folks, because we have to be out by 9 o'clock, so I'm going to jump ahead on a couple of questions because there's one that I think is important, and I don't think we've talked about it at all. That's on immigration and the aspect of illegal immigration in the country. I'd like to know what you three gentlemen think would be your position on solutions to the illegal immigration problem that the country is under. There's some 20 million illegals in the country that it's estimated, and they present a number of taxations on our infrastructures and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a serious problem and needs some attention, and it could very well be an item that's on the congressional venue. So could we speak to that? Steve, why don't you start off on that?
Thank you. On immigration, the first thing we absolutely have to not do, is give amnesty. We can't allow people to, commit illegal acts and not have there be any consequences. It's called crime and punishment, and if you do the crime, you've got to do whatever the time is. And so we can't have amnesty. I think it also means if we're going to have a border, you don't have a border unless you secure your border. So we absolutely have to secure our border through active and passive measures. And I don't just mean our border with Mexico. 3 of the terrorists on 9/11 came across from Canada. We've got to secure all our borders. And that's, unless you can secure your border, you're not really a country. So we've got to secure our borders. We can't give people amnesty. And, if somebody is here illegally and we catch them, they should go home. And then they can wait in line. They can wait in line and figure out if they can come back legally. I also think eventually we need to do immigration reform. Today, the way our immigration laws work, the people that get to come here based on the country they're coming from. And that does not make sense to me. It should be based on what our economy needs, what we want, is the kind of people we should be letting in this country. So that they help the country and not hurt the country. So those are the kind of things I think we need to do on immigration reform, and we cannot, this is a big deal, and we cannot, continue to thrive and prosper unless we deal with this issue, because it's costing our country trillions of dollars in additional services. So I think we need to deal with it, and those are some solutions I would